Get that on there. Okay. Well, let's see. Do I have it? I'm going to ask Nathaniel to take over my place, and then I'm going to be silent. And I've read his program. He has different ways of doing stuff that's not my way, but we'll all learn from it and see what he has to present to us. I'm looking to see if I had any announcements recorded to tell you about. I don't think so. I don't think so. Anybody have questions for me before class transfers to a new host? No. Okay, you're all making some progress on that number 5, I hope. Okay, I'll assume the answer is all yes. Okay, Nathaniel, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. I can share my screen whenever you're ready.
Sure. I'm going to back out and you take charge and tell us about how you did it.
You got it. All righty. Let's see. You're able to see my desktop screen, right?
Sure, I can see it.
Okay, cool. So I know you said that you didn't want me to show them directly the code. You wanted me to explain exactly.
We want you to teach us.
Yeah, teach you exactly what
everything means.
Index documents were, the libraries. Let's see here. I have 4. I'm sorry, one second. I have 4 links here, which essentially describe all 4 of the libraries that I use. The first one I use stdlib, second one std.io, third was string, and the fourth was C-type. And essentially, I made this entire program focusing on switch statements as the focus.
Yeah.
I believed that was simpler for me to kind of think of it. I know you had been describing object-oriented programming, and I thought to myself, making each activity that you gave us its own separate function is what worked best for me. Starting with the easiest, going to the hardest. So repeat menu as a void function. Essentially, I just copy and pasted everything from the PDF or the Word document that you gave us and got that one out of the way. Easy for display product, I believe. Oh, I'm sorry, repeat menu. Then we have display product here at the top. And for display product, I simply went about using the file inventory file opening that you taught us. It's a lot of the same of what you had shown us. There's 2 minor differences that I'll get into in just a second that are, I believe, what you found the most different and interesting about my program. But yeah, I believe everyone knows or has this code here because this should be what you have given us. And that is to read the contents from a file 1 character at a time. Right. So after going and getting those 2 parts out of the way, I went straight to the purchase product as well as the view shopping cart. And those were the 2 hardest and longest ones that I'll explain. Also, if anyone has any questions, I'll take questions at the end. Let's see here. So we went about the opening of the inventory file, and I added file name with 100 index to give it space for the file name. You'll see here, I opened that file for reading. That's what the R stands for. And this fgets here is essentially allocating the space that you had pretty much showed us. I think this is all pretty much based off your code, allocating the space for this scanf item wanted. Enter the name of the item wanted. I put must match on first 8 characters, but with my code, it essentially, whatever name you type will be the name of the item that gets pulled. And if you have any names that start with a similar word, it will pull both of those and then ask you to please enter the quantity for both of those. So this all should look familiar. The key that I focused on was taking the main parts of the data that the user is looking to pull and essentially getting it onto the receipt document in a way that is formatted for me, thinking of it as objects that I can grab and put together. So I looked into printf functions and ended up finding this here, which is sn printf. And I would say this is the key that kind of solved all my problems. SN printf allows you to create a buffer, and then you can fill that buffer with whatever formatted sentences you have in mind. In this case, the way the professor wanted our sentences formatted was having the number of items that you chose from the item wanted. Right here it says item invent. So that's how I did the scanf for the numbers. So essentially it's going to take that item and it's going to multiply it by the location that he told us to pull after the $sign here. And after doing a toy or a toff, which will both convert that string into a integer, I did the multiplication and it prints the line back out at you with the converted total from the multiple that you gave it. Following that step, I came right here and did a receipt file name, append. And append essentially allows you to place whatever strings you want into a file following you opening it up for appenditure. Let's see here. I ran to make sure it actually opened, ran this code. And then I did fputs s, which essentially asks you to take the buffer that was created for the SN printf. I had a buffer allocated with 1,000 index. I don't know why I chose that number, but I did. And I had a 100 index space allocated for the SN printf buffer, the actual sentence that you are putting within the buffer. And the fputs s essentially takes that entire sentence as a buffer and places it into receipt file here. And then I close the file each time it runs this loop. Then I have all of my item out and cannot open file statements here at the bottom. Essentially, I think of it as, placing sentences of certain types. So everything about the item not being found or program not working or opening, I should say, is placed at the bottom. All the core crunch information is placed in the center. And yeah, you're able to go on to the next step. Each time it runs the void function for any of these, it will open and close the document as needed. So for viewing the shopping cart, it's essentially the same exact thing. The cool thing about appenditure is it allows you to open the document for reading in the same way you're opening the the inventory.txt file for reading. So you're opening that for reading. and you're opening the file name or the receipt file in which you make for reading while in the program. Now, the cool thing also, the second thing I think that probably caught the professor's eye is aside from doing the switch statements here, I created a while loop at the beginning of the main function. And this while loop is important because I wanted to create a program that essentially was able to run indefinitely. No matter how many times you wanted to run the program, you could always have a receipt file and have them all be named according to the iteration in which you are running it in. So for this while loop here, the while loop states that, if the receipt file is open for reading, you've created it here, receipt file equals F open. And if you've created this and essentially there isn't anything, I'm sorry, if there is something in it for the null. So while there is something in it, for loop, and create a new one, essentially. If I show you right here, this is the directory that I have it saved in. I have receipt file one and receipt file and receipt file one from previous iterations that I did. So if I were to open my terminal, one second, and essentially run the bash file, start with the easy stuff, put an R, it displays it, works. D places that, works. And now we can order an item. Let's say we have donut. Asks us for how many, we'll get 12. Hit V. It tells us we ordered 12 donuts and it gives us the total price of those 12 donuts. And then when we hit X, you'll see it says at the bottom here, please view your receipt in the file receipt2.txt, and it automatically saved the second one. And that was kind of what I came up with as a method of getting it to do that. I found out that if you are to create a, I called it make file here because that's essentially what this whole function is doing. But I guess you would call that, I guess most people call that a, what do you call it? A counter, yeah. And this counter for make file essentially is what is being put s printf. This make file number is exactly what is being put at the end of each. Where did I put that? I honestly, now I remember. Here's the key right here. This is also how each file name and number is being identified. So define file name template. Where did I find this? I honestly, unfortunately, Professor, do not remember where I got that from. I had just been reading a bunch of forums. I looked into my computer history and I could not find, unfortunately, where it is, but we can actually look that up. And I assume there's probably,
it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of information about it. It's straightforward. You essentially put define file name template, and then in quotes, you can put the name of any file name that you want to make a template out of. And if you want to iterate the number, you put the
formatter.
Yeah, formatter, and then D to print the number there.
Nathaniel, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
At the startup, what keeps this loop from iterating forever? I don't.
Which section of the loop?
Lines 30 through 45.
30 through 45.
Yeah, the for loop especially. because you increment makefile and it never, the I variable never reaches the end.
Isn't that the intention?
But if this is iterating forever, how does it go, how does control go down and below that and continue the program?
Oh, right. So make file, yeah, that is important. Make file is set equal to 2.
Yeah.
You'll see that here for everybody. Make file is set equal to 2. I set I equal to 1. And that's important because setting I equal to 0 is essentially actually they're all kind of linked. How do I make sense of this? I is equal to num, or num is equal to I. Num is right here. Num is right here. And that s print f is going to make the entire is using the template, and it's going to make the file name. That's why file name is at the beginning. File name template is in the middle, and num, the number of the file itself. That is how that name is being created. Having make file equal to ensures that when you start the I with 1, by the time it goes up, it essentially, yeah, it keeps on going, and it's not necessarily meant to stop. And that's why I have the break here, just in case, because essentially, if you run this if statement and there is stuff like there is stuff in the receipt file already, then it's not going to make it that time, and it will break.
It'll break out of the loop there.
Out of the loop.
As soon as you have a receipt file that's not null, this looping stops.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Can you explain the 3 parameters inside of sprintf?
Sprintf. Yes.
Right,
file name.
Line 39.
Yeah.
I rarely use sprintf. It's almost always printf.
Right. I think I had seen the reason why I think I made my entire program in this way was I had read on the internet. I think my favorite part about coding is reading the debates people have on the internet. I don't know why, but a lot of people debate on the security of printf versus sprintf versus snprintf and all these other functions. And I found all those conversations intriguing because I thought I would test them out and see what I felt versus what the people were saying is the go-to function for certain tasks. If I had, well, yeah, so snprintf, I came across that, and let's see, if I am not mistaken, these sites are also pretty, I guess, not as straightforward, I guess, as most people who are getting into coding would like them to be, because things like to upper and to lower here, I'm going off on a tangent, I apologize, but I had used to upper twice here in my program in order to allow the user to type in the letters lowercase or uppercase. And in the documentation, it tells you that this mainly works for integers, but clearly I used it for chars. But if you go into it further, it'll tell you that it is also used for chars due to the value itself implicitly being cast. So the same thing for, like you asked for, sprintf. I, going into like the reading of all the documentation on the sites, I think the interesting part is how each different function allows you to format the information. So sprintf and snprintf, as you'll see, This one allows you to create a buffer. You're placing the information in the first data type that you input into the function argument. And the same thing goes for sprintf, and that's how I used it here. The file name being the first one is where all this information is getting placed into. File name template is the template that I showed you guys at the beginning, and num is the number being added. If we go to the sprintf documentation, it should show examples of that same exact thing.
Oh, yeah, buffer. There's a string with formatters and then 3 parameters to go into the string. And it all gets written into buffer.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And I found like n. I'm still learning myself. So like, as far as what the computer interprets sn printf as, let's say like I'm reading it as one word, but then when you read further in the documentation, it like it separates the s and the n. So I'm not sure how that could be used in unique ways. If you had any idea, I assume maybe it could be used in ways that aren't explicitly just stated on this website. But that kind of stuff is what kind of interests me the most, I guess.
Did you come to any conclusion about which instructions are safe and not safe, or what the public feels are unsafe programming techniques?
Right. My conclusion is the use case, really. So as for SN printf, I thought it worked perfectly here because at least for me, the programmer, I'm able to read it. It's good for my readability. I understand this just looking at it. It makes a lot of sense to my brain. And being able to take that as like an object in my head and place that into the file, it makes sense to me. And I don't see how, I haven't found an answer as to how things could be insecure or how bad things could get potentially if you were working for a company and things had to stay safe, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have a complete answer, I guess. I'm still searching for that.
Okay, let me ask more questions. I don't want to monopolize it. Students, you feel free to ask him. Let me finish with this. Line 34, you're copying a line into buff. Line 34.
Line 34.
Then, but that's an array buffer. Where does that get placed into the file? Does it go all the way to line 45?
Oh, right. Yeah, so essentially this buffer, I guess, I mean, technically I could have ordered this differently. This is just in my order. Also, like, yeah, a big part, I guess, of programming is a lot of people, how they approach thinking of completing the task. It could have been placed like that, I believe.
I see. Okay.
And maybe that would be more readable if I were working in a team. They would understand that a lot better, because then in the chronological order, you're opening everything, you're creating something, and then placing what you created inside of what you open.
And then you immediately close that same file, receipt file. So
yeah.
But is that being opened for? Oh, I see the append now. It's coming to me. Line 34 is open so that you append one line.
I think if we go to the F open document, it should explain every single use case of W, R, A, and all that good stuff right here. So we have R opens for reading, W, it writes. The thing with W though is if you already have something on a document, it will completely wipe all the data. Append does what I had done and it allows you to add data. It opens it up, doesn't delete anything, and allows you to append information on top of what's already present. unlike the writing mode.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then W plus and A plus essentially creates an empty file for reading and writing and opens a file for reading and appending.
Does anybody have questions for him? It's not how I would have done it, but there's nothing wrong with learning more. I like seeing this. Where do you read the inventory? How do you do the search? Somebody enters the first 8 characters. Where in your source file is the search for the match?
Got you. So right here, item wanted. Item wanted is essentially, yeah, a char that has 64 index on both. Fgets is essentially making the space for you to type whatever you want into it. And scanf is what allows you to input that information into that character array.
Yeah.
The search happens essentially. Item wanted. 1 second.
Excuse me, one more line. How are lines 14 and 18 different? What is one doing that the others?
Got you.
Okay.
That's a good question. I believe because we have like the screenshots of everything that you gave us, as well as I personally have all the websites that I visited to help me put this together. And my programs are essentially a accumulation, like a collage of all the different things I've come across. As far as these two, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how they differ, other than believing that fgets is creating the space, and essentially as far as matching that with the document, where did I? Oh man. Okay, so yeah, as far as matching that with the document, we have the while loop that comes right after, and essentially the while loop getting each line is comparing each line to the word that you input. So we collected the space, allow you to put something into the space, and then we are comparing what you put into the space with the line that is coming from the actual inventory file that we're searching. And that is the code that you gave us, I believe. Yeah, that's the code that you gave us. So I think that's kind of why I forgot where I had gotten it from for a second. That was in the beginning. You had given us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
With the string function and the fgets, those were the excuse me, the two that you wanted us to focus on. I know strings, we worked a lot with that, right?
yes, that sounds like stuff I would do. String and fgets. Okay, so the name of it, the line is an array of char. I see it up at the top, 97 characters. And fgets reads it from inventory file, and then string pulls out what, the first 8 characters?
I think that's also the part that confused me. If I could, if I remember correctly, I'm gonna go to our Discord because that's where the photos were posted.
Yes, go ahead.
But you had told us to actually the code that you had given us would say cont and in that manner.
Oh, yes.
And you had a function, I believe, for cont that checked the 8-character right here. Now, this line of code, I unfortunately could not get to work in the way that I thought you wanted it to.
I see.
If I were to type that out, let's see.
String and container.
Or actually, let me just
Item 1. There's a-
and there we go. Yeah, because I had put the line here also. I think using line comma size of line was something I had seen on the internet, and that like made a lot more sense to me
Okay.
than the item invent and then 64. So as far as actually recreating this in a different way for fitting my code, that is what I guess the problem was that I ran into. I thought maybe putting line and then putting 8 would have made sense.
Uh, uh, but that didn't do the job, you say.
Yeah, I don't believe that did the job. And then
Okay.
before I
There's
had,
a lesson for all. Yes, cool. There's a lesson for all of us. My suggestions doesn't fit everybody's needs. So class, you're free to alter whatever I suggest and do what works best for you. Okay.
line essentially with the F gets having, you're filling the line, or you're taking the line. I'm sorry, you're filling the line with the size of the line that it's taking from inventory file.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's checking to see if there's actually even anything there in the first place.
Okay.
My bad. I haven't been. Miguel asks, could you make a check variable in order to initially exit the while loop? If you could tell me which part you're asking that from, I'm sorry. Maybe this one. Exit the while loop. I assume you're talking about this while loop here. And a check variable. I think the if statement here would be the check variable, if I'm not mistaken. That would kind of be it. And if that's not met, then it breaks. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's as straightforward as I could think of making it. I guess the last thing I would say is this little piece of code here ignores a very Linux specific warning.
Oh.
Yeah. So running this on my Mac without, like, I take this out when I run it on my Mac, and then I have a virtual box that I use for Linux, and I put this in there, and then the program runs completely smooth with no warning comments at all.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
And that's something I still also have to learn more about, is the differences between Linux, Windows, and Mac OS.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, before we terminate here, would you run it one more time?
Yeah, no
And
problem.
what I want you to do is search on a string that's too short, something like calculus is just, and you just enter CAL. What
So I
happened?
type in CAL and it says quantity. I typed in 4 and it'll ask it again. The reason why I did this actually is because I think I had added, this wasn't in everyone else's file. I added another calculus.
Right.
And because I added a second calculus, just to test and see how the program would react, the way it's reacting is it's essentially assuming that I wanted both because I typed in CAL. So it takes 4, it goes in chronological order, and it takes 4 for the first one. And then if I type in 2 for the second, and then view that,
Shopping cart.
that's what we get.
So you got both books in different quantities. Okay, I get it now. I had run the program you submitted, and I ran into this. I didn't know why it was asking for 2 quantities, but it's the case of 2 matches.
Right. I
That's
probably should have deleted that because you didn't put that in the initial index, or I keep saying index, inventory .text file, but
but it's okay. Leave it as is. Now that I understand it. So if I had used if you had searched on a longer string, how can you distinguish the 2 books? Calculus itself has 8 letters.
right.
Okay. Let's take,
Yeah. I think the solving of that part of the issue, because it is an issue. I tested it out myself, and essentially the input for that section does not let you take in spaces. So instead of putting scan F, I would think to do F gets
yes.
and then do item wanted. And I believe that should solve the
I
problem.
think there's a parameter missing, but
For F gets?
for F gets, what is it, class? The first parameter is a length number. I don't have,
Oh, right.
I'm drawing a blank on F gets, but I think there's something.
That's the first parameter, huh?
What is the first parameter?
Or is it F get?
No, I think it's
No.
with an S on the F gets with an S.
Let me look it up 1 second. I
Yes.
might be typing this wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no, the number is the second parameter. Okay, look it up.
Got you. Yeah, you're right. Let's see.
The string is first.
I have it right here in my notes. The 3 parameters for fgets, it's the variable is the first one, the size of the variable is the second one, and from where you want to get the input from, whether it be from a file or standard input as the third variable.
That sounds right. Yes.
I think I might be. I guess so. Oh, well.
Yeah, you have a F gets there near the top.
One second. That is an interesting bug. I'm thinking to myself, let's see. I thought I had used something else in a different program, but essentially what I was going to say was I'm attempting to take in the space. So
Yeah,
I'd have to write in an input function that allows you to take in the entire space. And
Yeah.
then once that is done, you're able to specify exactly which calculus book you would use, calculus or calculus glass, I apologize, calculus store item.
right, right.
Yeah.
I think F gets is still the way to go. It just needs some fine tuning here to make it input the spaces. Hmm.
If I may.
Yeah, go for it.
Perhaps instead of getting it from inventory file, put the stdin.
Did I spell that wrong? Let's see.
Maybe it did. Calculus book lowercase. Yeah.
That's interesting. Because then I'm wondering whether or not it's asking me to type in the entire thing now. If I just put calc u, that's out of stock. Cal is also out of stock.
I would hope it does not ask for everything.
Ah, yeah, I think it does. Let's see.
Oh,
Donut,
no.
comma, one item. Yeah, it does. That's kind of odd because I'm not sure how I would get it the way you're asking while accepting spaces.
I wonder if yeah, let me think. You want to limit it to the first 8. F gets.
I guess that actually, yeah, my bad. I guess that is why I added the F gets here. I probably thought that I was taking in spaces with it, but it didn't work.
Yeah, well, what if that 100 was 8? Line 137. Doesn't that say just enter the first 8?
Let's see. Hold on.
I'm making an educated guess.
And cal. That's odd.
Oh no.
Maybe I missed, but do you use string comparison, the function string comparison?
It's strcmp
strncmp.
and cmp. NCMP.
And it would be for the parameters, it's the item wanted, I believe. So it's the item wanted, the array for like the inventory, and then 8 to let you know that it's 8 characters.
Maybe.
It would still include the fgets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Item one, okay.
You said the second parameter for string and copy
String
was what again? Because I put inventory file.
It was the I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes, and it was item inventory. So it's the item wanted and the like the string that has like the inventory.
Gotcha. All right. Oh, okay. It's probably, let's try this. Wait. No, that wouldn't work. Maybe file name. See, that's weird. It immediately skipped the input for the item wanted, and it went straight to the quantity number.
Hmm.
You said the fgets should still be in there, right? Yeah, I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason, we keep getting this bug here where it skips the input of the item wanted.
The previous part of the previous input is still in the buffer, right?
I think it's the new line that F gets takes in. At the end, you have to get rid of it, the new line one, because if you still have it, it's going to take it in as input for the next one.
Doesn't F gets doesn't take in the new line,
F gets does, it reads the new line and takes it in.
takes it in, yeah.
So you have to kind of get the length of it and then subtract it, or you can manually change it.
I don't know, man. At the moment, I took out the fgets that you said, but it completely said item out of stock now.
Doesn't find it at all. Yeah.
Maybe like there I don't know if there's maybe another version of scanf that could be used.
Oh, is there? Hmm. Yes. No.
I don't know if you can see in the chat, I kind of pasted it, that temp buffer, you can change that to whatever you're reading into F gets. So that kind of gets rid of it, the new line character.
And you're saying place that there like that?
Yeah, so you need a uncomment fgets. Yeah. And then you can change temp buffer to item wanted. And yeah, that should be able to get rid of the new line. See if it skips it after that.
I take out the string C.
No, you can leave that in. Just
Leave that
change the, yeah, try it like that.
No.
I don't know. It skipped it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it keeps skipping the input.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes when you use the scanf and fgets at the same time, they kind of mess each other up.
I ran into a similar problem where it was skipping the request for input. And what I did was right before the fgets, I used fget C, and then in the parentheses, I put stdin to kind of force it to wait. And sorry, there's no S, it'd be fget C.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even notice I did that. Let me terminate this.
Oh,
Let's see. I'll do CAL 3. Wait, hold on. And then we're golden. Works like a charm. So yeah, F gets C, STDIN, F gets with enough space, and then item wanted to clear. Pretty sure, yeah, they're all working together. Let's see. So it essentially still works the same way I had it before, where you could type in any amount of letters, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just one letter, and it knows that it's a donut, but it also intakes the space now. So that's cool. Any other comments you have, Professor?
No, I don't have a comment right now. I've been watching and
That's good teamwork, right?
it is. No, I like teamwork. I like open source communities that share ideas and knowledge. Well, I think I'm glad you sent me your program, so I'm going to study it, and in coming days I'll have some comments or explain how I would have done it. But this has been good so far.
If you'd like, I could send you an updated version, because I know you said you wanted me to explain the libraries, and the one I sent you had 2 extra libraries that weren't even being used.
Oh, no, yeah, I would like your update, certainly. Class, do you have anything in general you'd like to have him review or repeat? It's making that receipt is a novel invention to me. I would have never have thought of that, changing the terminating right there in front of us, line 32.
Right here?
The make file parameter, which is supposed to stop the iteration, is modified inside the body of the loop itself.
Right.
Well, that's novel, but I guess, and then it stops after one iteration, because it's initially creates something that's empty, and then that breaks the looping. So if you were to purchase in the same run, you would generate receipt 1, receipt 2, receipt 3. Am I getting this right? That
Yeah, assuming like if somebody were to download this program off the internet and they wanted to just collect everything that they made from it, it would all just be numbered in chronological order.
okay?
And if they copy and let's say save the data on a hard drive and then delete all of the receipts from the main directory, it'll start from scratch, from receipt to receipt 1 to receipt 2.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that was asked for in the requirements.
That's
But
just something it was like a pet peeve of mine, the fact that it just kept replacing the last receipt data that I had with the new receipt data every single time, and that was just bothering me.
no, this is a neat feature. I should have thought of it. I'd have put in the document, but it's okay. And okay,
And then
those are-
also the thing I
go
liked
ahead.
about it was it also allowed for me to have the name be updated every time it said, please view your receipt. It would
Oh,
place the name of the specific receipt that you're working on.
right.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Well, we'll end here. Pause if you want him to explain again some part of it.
I could share all these links that I have here in our Discord. I'll give you guys all these links that I use.
Good.
And yeah, they go thoroughly, I guess, into other unique ways you can use all of these.
Very nice. Okay, so all those links are available, class. Go visit them when you need information. There's nothing more planned for today. I invited Nathaniel to do this. When I saw his program, it just looked quite different from the way I approached it. So you saw a second view, and I'm glad for that.
Oh, some people in the Discord are wondering if we could discuss the final with you as far as the time frame.
Sure. Once you conduct a discussion, what would you like? What would the majority like for timing on the final program?
I personally was interested in the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. idea, but I know some people were talking about I don't know, other people, specific individuals that might have a different schedule. Hopefully they're here so that they can kind of speak for themselves. Because I'm not sure how many or what might have a different schedule. But at the least, I was thinking having it extended to 6 p.m. instead of 6 or instead of 4 p.m. would be fair for most people, I would say.
You're advocating in favor of 2. Do we start at 2 o'clock? 2 to 6 on final exam day.
Yeah.
The issue is not to interfere with somebody else who has a more limited time exam that follows this one immediately.
Gosh, you're right.
Okay. If
Honestly, though, at the end of it all, like I'm not picky about anything personally. So if anyone has anything else they could say, I would hope you guys would make it known.
David, it's during finals week. Okay. So if there's some of you who may have a final that immediately follows when this one ends, and then another one starts, it's not fair to those people to give an extended hour or 2 hours or 3 hours if they can't use it. So that's why I came up with this late at night final. One answer is we could run it from the same day, but start at 6 p.m. and go to midnight, or 8 p.m. until 8 a.m. the next morning. That's an overnight final. Or from class, the official starting time till 6 p.m. Excuse me, I'm coughing. There's several choices here. Just what would the majority of you prefer? Collaborative final, except that doesn't work well. No, because this is remote learning, we can time shift it almost anywhere. We need to say that I expect the size of the final to be, the level of difficulty be similar to the midterm. What did I leave you last time? Wasn't it 3 hours for that midterm? If you feel more, it would be more comfortable with 4 hours or 6 hours. That's what Nathaniel suggested we debate. And I am looking to your reaction. No one has an opinion. Would you do a better program if you had not the 3 hours of the midterm, but you had 5 hours, for instance? Would that be more relaxed, tranquil setting than a shorter time period? If we go with I'm not sure what the time period is, like, you would like more time. Yes.
Yeah, having more time, I think, would be, at least having the option would be great, I'm sure, for everybody.
The option, even if some people decide not to use it, it's still there.
I don't see why not.
Sure, okay. It's kind of ironic. You recognize we can only do this because we're remote. If we had to do this in person, we have to get out of the classroom in 2 hours.
Understood, yeah.
Okay, so, but we'll make it, I want to make it so you can do this in a stress-free mode.
Right.
David, it should be about the same level of having, okay. I haven't looked lately. Does anyone know when our official starting time is? I think we should just move it to later in the day. You take all your other finals in the daytime of that day. We're probably on Monday of the first day, and then you can do this through the night. You got to get some sleep. You got to, it starts at 1 p.m. Thank you, Cynthia. He's going to look it up right now.
I think this is the wrong year. I think I clicked on the wrong link.
That was
yeah, I believe this is it.
We're Monday, Wednesdays. Monday, Wednesday, we normally start at, our class time is 2 o'clock, which is not on that schedule. See if at another place. 2:30 is pretty close, although it's not exact.
Is this is the right year, right? Yeah, spring 2020.
Yes, this is okay.
I don't see a 2 p.m. at all.
No, I don't either. We would probably fall into that 2:30 slot.
The 2:30. Yeah.
Monday and Wednesday, or Monday and Friday. 2:30, they say 3 to 5. Cynthia, where did you get it at 1 p.m.? How do you know that number?
don't know.
Well, let's see if can I log into my, let me try it. And here is
Nate, I think someone put it on Discord.
I was trying to log into my portal and see if what it shows is, and then it's not letting me, but let's find out.
Somebody in the Discord had shared that there is a 1 p.m. to 2:50 p.m. time frame for the final for this class. I don't know where they got that information though.
Okay. It doesn't overlap normal class time. Let me try coming up with something. I gotta do 9 to 6. Okay.